Thanks for being here.
Well, Coach, number 2 overall seed, highest seed in program history. How does that feel?
Feels great. Proud of our guys. You know, obviously you've heard me say this over and over, but we just want to keep doing things that have never been done before. And that's kind of been our calling since we've been here in 2017, and another opportunity to do that again this year. So proud of the guys for them getting rewarded for all their hard work and obviously executing and winning at a really high level.
As a coach, third time through, third time's a charm, hopefully. What did you learn the other 2 times that you'll be able to apply this time around?
You know, I was really naive the first time. I mean, you know, doing that the first year and having that and just like, yeah, I guess this is easy, you know, and boy, did I get humbled. Obviously that team did something very similar to what we did a year ago. We weren't able to win the second game, and we had to fight all the way through. So one thing I've learned, you know, from both times is you're never out of it until that last out's made, and every team is different. Every team is different. You know, the way that team won in 17 is totally different than the way the team won last year in 23, and this team is totally different than that one. So I've learned that each team's different, and I've got to coach each team totally different based off of what their strengths and weaknesses are.
Coach, I remember last year that when you went to LSU, kind of twiddle your thumbs a bit, excuse me, because you kept getting delayed, you kept wondering what's going to happen. Now you can kind of control the environment. Not saying you're going to do any antics, except it getting weird. But does that give you any peace of mind to know that you and the team can stay at home, sleep in your own bed, and not have to worry about other things that come with going on the road in postseason baseball?
You know, when you look at the track record of teams that have made it to Omaha, obviously there's a huge benefit to playing at home. So we always wanted the path to Omaha to be through here, and obviously we haven't put ourselves in a position where we can do that up until this year. So I've already checked the weather, just so you guys know. You know, this is the time of year where you do have some rain and things like that, but right now Friday looks amazing, so especially at noon. So everybody that has an opportunity to take a half day of work, you get full permission from me. I give you a get-out-of-jail-free card, an excuse to miss work. If you come, just blame me. But the weather looks great, and it's definitely going to be a bonus to play at home.
You can put out an excuse sheet that Matt's going to print out?
Bring it. I'll sign it. I'll do whatever it takes. All right? That's kind of what we've been doing this year. Thank you. Bring it. I thought we had great crowds last year, just super excited for our fans. And, you know, I've said this before, but not every sport do you have a chance to win a championship on your campus. Right? So obviously the regular season, but as it relates to the postseason, not every sport do you have an opportunity to win in the postseason on your home field. And obviously we have put ourselves in a position to go for one. So I'm excited that our fans will have the opportunity to come join us for some great baseball.
Yeah, the fact that you will host again if you advance this week, how does that change the way that you manage and coach, if at all?
Yeah, it doesn't, because you know me, John, like I'm really just focused on finishing this interview, going to change, and then go have the best practice we've had all year. And, you know, not looking too far down the road has been one of our team strengths, and it's something we've talked about all year, as you know. And it's actually helped me as a coach. It's helped me because you know, I'm not at my best when I look too far in advance. And there's been multiple times I've you know, as I journal and write my discipleship planner each morning, I just keep learning that about myself. It's like I'm much like the players. I am way better when I'm just focusing on the task at hand and what's in front of me at that time and not looking big picture. Now, obviously, as I mentioned, it is nice to know that we do have an opportunity, if it was to go our way, to stay at home. That is definitely a huge bonus.
You guys went home probably a little earlier than you would have liked, but got some extra rest. So what does this week, as far as preparation, kind of look like for you all?
Yeah, so we got back Saturday afternoon, and we obviously gave the guys off Saturday, and then we gave them off yesterday and just told them to just get a full day and to rest, recovery, take care of their bodies, mentally, physically, emotionally. If they wanted to come up here and get their work in, pitchers had an optional and voluntary lift. Some of those guys got a lift in, move their bodies, move their arms. And then today we've already had 2 hitting groups. And then we'll have a great practice today, finish up with another hitting group. Tomorrow we'll have another good practice. We'll play a little 2-pitch game where we'll get them moving around and competing a little bit. Same for Wednesday. We got some guys that need to throw and get some live at-bats, so they'll throw Wednesday. And then really just a short practice on Thursday, the NCAA practice. So really 4 really, really important days of preparation. And, met with a couple of our hitting groups earlier and just told them, like, this is a good time for us to refine and lock in all the little details, So we spent some time on everybody's bunting technique on each pitch, obviously preparing all different parts of the strike zone, breaking balls inside, outside, up, down, and then same thing for our pitchers and making sure we're doing a good job executing and getting our arms moving. Also, for them to be able to compete a little bit, we'll play a little bunt game today where they'll pick teams and get them competing and having fun on the field. So 4 really important days of preparation ahead.
How important has the fun aspect been to this team?
Oh, it's really what helps make this team. Their competitive spirit and they have fun. And that's why in practice today we're going to play a bunt game where we have half the positional players on this side, half on this side. We're going to have the pitchers pick, and they love competing. And what I've learned about this team is if I do not challenge them and I do not put them in situations to compete, then that's not them at their best. So today will be another day, tomorrow will be another day, and same thing with on Wednesday. And when they compete, boy, do they have fun.
Yeah, they play week to week in the SEC with a lot at stake. How does that prepare you for a situation like this going through, seems like several weeks where games absolutely matter to where you want to be to going into NCAA format?
Yeah, it definitely matters. And, Ryder Giles was a huge advocate of that. He just kept reminding me, and our team last year, he was a guy that had played in supers and had been close to Omaha. And I'll never forget Ryder just reminding our guys, like, guys, what we just went through for 10 straight weeks, that felt like a super. Every super that I was a part of, that's what it felt like. Like, we are battle tested. We're prepared for this, So, and that's what our league does. I'm just so happy for our league. We finally got more than 10 teams in. We got 11 teams in, a SEC record, NCAA record for most teams from a conference. And quite frankly, we deserve it. And I felt like we've had teams and seasons before where we deserved it. So, obviously playing in the greatest league in America, the number 1 RPI in America. Our league has played for the national championship 14 out of the last 15 years. Let that sink in. I don't know what other sport can say that. We have played for the national championship 14 out of the last 15 years, and that definitely will pay benefits for us moving forward this postseason.
Nick, Evan was talking about the dugout energy. It's more about you guys and the energy, not affecting the other team, but it does seem to affect your opponents at times. Can you tell that some of that back and forth has helped you guys at moments this year?
Well, our dugout energy and how we compete is been shaped and molded by a lot of guys over the last couple of years. And I think of Sean Harney, because Sean Harney was like that. Kristen will tell you, he can make me laugh as well as any player I've ever coached. And when you want your team to communicate, and sometimes you have to direct who they're communicating and how they're communicating during a game. And there were times where a handful of years ago, we would be talking and saying things about the other team, and I had to remind them, stay with us. Stay with us. We're not concerned about them. And Sean Harney would always go, let's go Kentucky. Here we go, Kentucky. Go Big Blue. Like he would do all these chants. And, over time and over the years, it's gotten better and better and better. And I think what our team has realized is when we focus on ourselves, it is way more enjoyable. It is way easier to get into the game and not feel like we're even really, I would think when we're playing at our best, like we don't even realize there's another team in the other dugout, or don't even know what jersey, and with all due respect, because we face some great teams, and we obviously respect all of our opponents, and this region's filled with 3 great opponents, but we are better when we are just worried about what we're doing and not anybody else. And whatever the game demands, if that means there's a base steal at first base, then our break times have to be right. If that means that, hey, we have to execute a double play at a certain amount of time because the batter runner is a 4.5, then we got to be able to turn a double play in 4.5, and we have to be able to focus on what we're doing and what it takes to win, as opposed to who's in the other dugout.
Nick, you talked about writing in your discipleship journal. Sometimes the pressures of coaching in the postseason isn't really conducive to one's spiritual well-being. How do you strike that balance? Give us some secrets to how you do it.
Well, I already know that it's already written. Like, what's going to happen is already written. It's already finished. Like, so I don't need to know. I know who knows the beginning and the end, and that's already written. So we're just going to do our best to just focus on what we can control, and those other things we can't control. So I just choose to focus on what we can control, and that's me getting our team ready to play. That's us focusing on ourselves and not anybody else, and serving one another and competing at the highest level to help Kentucky win. So when you understand that and you know that, then it makes it a lot easier.
I think in SEC play, you know the strengths and weaknesses of just about everybody on that other team.
Yes.
When you just get announced today who you're going to play, what's the staff process like about, breaking that down as quickly as possible?
Yeah, that's a good question. So part of the reason why we chose to practice at 2 is to give our staff time to reach out to other teams, to get scouting reports, to get their thoughts. So the coaches are in there right now, and they're organizing who's reaching out to what schools to get these scouting reports, who we've played, who we can maybe exchange information on. And then obviously after that, Trevor Fitz, our director of player development, does an awesome job he prepares a folder for every single team that we play. It includes their stats. It includes previous scouting reports. It includes everything that we can collect on our opponents. And then obviously we will start tonight. As soon as practice is over, we'll get something to eat, and we'll just start diving into our opponents. And it takes a lot of time. One thing I've learned about our staff is the amount of time, effort, and energy that we put into preparing for an opponent is a lot. And if you told me we watched over 20 hours of video on our opponents for each team, I would believe it. I would tell you I 100% believe it's over 20 hours per opponent. So you start doing that I don't do 20 hours by myself, but when you look at everybody we're getting ready to play in our staff, we just have a lot of preparation to do on our end. So it's what we love. This is the best time of year. If you don't get as much sleep, that's okay. Because obviously this is the time of year that we've all prepared for. But it's a lot of time, effort, and energy watching video.
Coach, at the SEC tournament, when you got emotional on the SEC Network set, when Ryan Walshman said, "You're the best coach he's ever had."
Yeah.
What does it mean to you over the past 8 years to have coached this program and to see the uphill trajectory of the last 2 seasons?
Yeah, just super thankful. I've really tried to do a great job this season of just showing gratitude for everybody, our coaches, our staff, our players, our student managers, our trainers, strength coaches, like you name it, Michael Stoner, academic counselor. I've just been very thankful. We have assembled so many amazing people in the program. And when people come to this facility and we have recruiting visits and they walk around and they see this place and the fans and the people, I just remind them not to miss, in my opinion, the best part about it is the people that are in it. And that goes to all the people I just mentioned, our fans. Like, it is truly a special place. And it hasn't been easy, as you know. I think we've all gotten better. Coaches, staff, players, we've all learned. But when the players, those are the ones that we want to wake up and serve every day. And to hear the fact that, they're enjoying their experience. Kristen and I have always said that about Reeves is, he's 9 years old, and we don't want to give him things. We want to give him experiences. That's what he'll remember for the rest of his life. He's not going to remember a video game that he has. And quite frankly, we don't let him have video games. He doesn't have video games, right? But he'll remember experiences. He'll remember sitting down in that room with that selection show, looking up and seeing Kentucky as the number 2 seed. He'll remember that. He'll remember riding the bus. Our players will remember winning that championship on that Friday night. here at Kentucky Proud Park. They'll remember that. They'll remember seeing their names pop up as the 2 overall national seed. They'll remember this postseason. And we're in the business of making impact on people's lives. And when you hear them say it, it just means a lot, because it's not every day a player comes up to you and says, "Coach, you're my favorite coach I've ever had." You'd be like, "What do you want?" Right? But to hear them say that publicly, it means a lot. And there's just a lot of time, effort, and intentional effort has gone into it, and just thankful that the guys feel that way.
Nick, the mindset of not looking too far ahead, does that affect how you approach the pitching staff this weekend? Do you just live in the moment, or do you have to balance holding guys back over the course of a regional if you're going to beat them?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's something we're going to have to answer in the next 24 hours, because as we start preparing about who are we going to throw game 1, who are we going to throw game 2, what's the plan for game 3, so we have to do a really quick but thorough and intentional scrub of our opponents to try to figure out how do we line it up. Because to your point, it's like, hey, we got to get bullpens in, right? We've got to be able to set guys up to throw maybe once or twice in a weekend. So once we learn who we're going to play, obviously we've just figured that out. And now we need to put our guys in the best position to be successful and win a tournament. And with that comes a lot of research. So that needs to be decided by the time we practice tomorrow for sure.
Last year, Mason was the hero coming out of the pen. Obviously, he's done a nice job in rotation. How do you feel about your bullpen now? Are you pretty confident? How concerned are you about the walk numbers?
We have been in a position where, as you know, we have started basically the same 3 guys all season, and it's one of the reasons why we've been in that position. And I think you know this, but we're at our best when those guys can go deep into games, like most good teams, right? They get good mileage out of their starters. Their bullpen doesn't have to throw as much. As far as your comment about the walks, there are times where we're intentionally not giving guys balls to hit, and we're intentionally walking guys. Intentionally walking guys, because as you guys know, and you've seen us do the actual intentional walk a lot, I think we might lead the country in those, but there are just certain guys that we're just not going to let beat us. And there's certain teams in our league, as you guys know, that have tremendous power. So either it's better to give them 1 base as opposed to 4 runs, right? And you've seen us, and when we're at our best, it's like we minimize. So have we walked some guys? Yes, but a lot of those are intentionally. Because there's certain guys that you can't let beat you. And I'd rather give up a walk than a home run, because I'd rather give 1 base as opposed to giving them 4 in a run. So,
Nick, you mentioned doing things that have never been done here before. Where does the accomplishment of this being the first time Kentucky's made back-to-back NCAA kind of rank among all the other accomplishments we've had this season?
yeah, I'm not sure, but it is one I can tell you. In 17, going into 18, I definitely knew about it and felt it. And it was like, man, we need to do that. But, as we continue to build this thing, and as you know, it is a work in progress, because you look at, even LSU has broke the trend, of the 2 previous national champions didn't even make the conference tournament, and they were heading that way. And they turned that thing around, and they're obviously playing as well as anybody right now. But for us to be consistent, we want to be able to play in the postseason. And, obviously we want the postseason to be here. So what is this? This has been 8 years, but only 7 seasons because of COVID, right? So we've been in the postseason 3 out of 7 years. And on 3 of those, we've been hosts, So that means a lot. That means a lot. And it's nothing that it's not something we would ever take for granted, because you see around, there's a lot of really good teams, and there's some really good teams that did not hear their name called. And so we'll definitely appreciative, but we also understand that, the margin of victory is so small, and we don't really have time to really pat ourselves on the back or feel good about ourselves, but for very long, because the second you do that, someone's going to pass you. So we'll continue to work, try to build it the right way. But definitely something that we're appreciative of and thankful for.
Nick, when you got here, from day 1, literally, you talked about doing things that have never been done. And I'm wondering, why has that been your mantra in lieu of we want to win titles? Why that? Is it because Kentucky, when it's come to postseason, the tradition's a little thin, or is that just something you've always embraced?
It's really interesting you say that, and I just remember, for some reason, I just started saying it. It just kind of happened like organically, and I remember in 17, us talking as a staff. And I remember Jimmy Bellinger saying, Coach, I just feel like you say that a lot. And like, that's something we're talking about a lot. Like, we should just keep that going. Let's just keep that going. And I just remember Jimmy was the one that like brought that up and just reminded me, but it just happened organically. And then just even looking back at my career, whether like for whatever reason, I didn't like actually know it at the time, but I've always loved doing that. Like when I thought back to my high school and my college career, and then when I was at Embry-Riddle, and then when I was at Western Carolina, then Mississippi State, and it was just something I didn't realize that I just loved chasing and trying to do something that hadn't been done, and I actually really enjoy that. And I didn't know that, but I did not know that. And then when Jimmy said that, it's like, hey, you keep saying that. Let's make that a thing. And then I've just like done some reflection, and I'm like reflecting, and it's like, wow, I guess I really do like enjoy that. I really do. But I had no idea.
Anything else for Coach? All right, thank you all.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you being here. Go Cats. I think they're having fun about something. I don't know.